No, I'm just thinking that will the students, okay, it's now streaming on YouTube,
Yeah.
but Prakash, will the students be able to get it? I mean, I'm just trying to see how will that work also, right?
Yeah, okay. Can we start the streaming? I believe it started, right? We have shared the link
Let
again
me
with all
start.
the.
Wait.
Sorry?
It started, I think.
Yeah. So we are sharing this link with all the students and they are joining.
This is the new link.
With the Gunjan.
Wait, Prakash, wait.
I think Tony, I think we'll start without Gunjan. He's
So,
not.
yeah,
We'll start without him. It's fine.
Prakash, you can share this YouTube link with all the students. I have just pinged here. YouTube link to join there.
If possible, Ruchika, this link, no Zoom link, which I've pasted in the chat box, the first one, if we can just message Gunjan.
I just did it actually. I'm trying to call him also. So
Prakash, can you share this one with the students?
Yes, Bikram, I am doing that. The one which you have shared in the chat, right?
Yes, yes.
I'm sharing that.
Hi, Tran.
you can write.
Hi. Sorry, that took a while to join.
Sorry, no, Ikra, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm the one who should be apologizing to you. I'm extremely sorry. I think this is the first time we were doing this live streaming, so I'm extremely sorry. I'm actually hoping that we would have learned, and so my apologies.
No problem. All's well now.
Yes, I'm just hoping all the students join back because we had close to 300 students. So
They
that's
will. I'm sure they were very
Yeah.
excited, so they will join.
That's exactly I was quite happy. It said the capacity is full. So I was like, okay, I can stay out, no problem. But looked like no one could join, yeah.
And Ruchika, I think you should have a background saying I'm sorry so that you don't have to repeat. No, so I think it happens. So Bikram is taking care of it. So let's go with the flow. I think about 50 students have joined as of now.
I think we'll start without Gunjan. He's not picking his call. Maybe he's got into something else now. So it's all right. I think we'll just start without him. It's all right. I think
We
it's-
wait.
So
at least-
42 watching the YouTube live now.
So maybe around 100. We wait for 100 students, or we start immediately.
Prakash, what do you say? So Tony will start at 11:50. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
We just realized we're getting more people in, so 11:50 is when we'll start.
Sure.
Ninety 110 people are in the YouTube now.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Ruchika, Prakash this side. We can start in 1 minute, 11:50 as discussed. People have joined from centers as well. So we can able to see one user, but it's a complete batch who is sitting and, have joined the program. So meanwhile, I am also, asking everyone to join. So we can start the session, and meanwhile, everyone will be in the YouTube streaming. Yeah, over to you.
Great. So we start, right, Ruchika?
Yeah, we'll start. Let's start. Yeah, we'll start. Tony, over
Yeah.
to you. Yeah.
105 are in the YouTube watching right
Sure,
now,
sure.
and meanwhile,
We'll
it will increase.
Yeah, we'll start. We'll start. So Tony, please
Great.
start.
Sure, sure. Thanks. Thank you, Ruchika. And thanks to all for joining. First of all, apologies for the delay. As with most things technology, which if we don't understand it well, then such issues may come up, and it's all a learning. So I'm glad to have all the learners also who are joining in on the YouTube streaming link. And to all our experts and stakeholders who are on this panel. So a warm welcome to all of you. And this is a very interesting session, especially for our learners of the digital courses that we are offering. And as we all know, it's a beautiful partnership between Tata Stry, Microsoft, DSCI, Tata Communications, TCS, and building an important program called Cyber Shiksha Plus, which is like the Cyber Shiksha program developed by Microsoft and DSCI. So, and also along with that, we also have the life skills program that Tata Stry offers, the youth development module, which helps them be prepared for with their behavioral and with the attitude that is needed, the behavioral competencies that are needed to be successful at the work. So this is interesting, as I mentioned earlier, because we have very important people, experts from the industry, especially the cybersecurity space, who will be talking to all of you, to all the learners who have joined. Because it's always important to know what's happening in the industry, what are the trends, what are the job prospects, what are the career path, And all of you have, started on this wonderful journey, and we are currently, we see the India and the world moving at a very drastic speed towards technological advancements, and contributing to that is what I'm sure all of you are hoping to do. So first of all, I think I'd like to invite Mr. Meryl Cherian, who is here with us. I hope all the learners can see Mr. Cherian here. And he's from KPMG India. He's a partner with the cyber security practice and has been working with KPMG India since January 2006. It's a long time with KPMG. And overall, he has an experience of about 20 years, of which 18 years has been exclusively in the IT advisory and cyber security domain. So I think no one better to speak on this topic than Meryl, of course. And he is also taught as a guest lecturer on business continuity management at the Narsi Monjee Institute of Management Studies at the Bangalore campus. So if all our learners are ready, I would like to cordially invite Meryl to take this section up. And I'm sure all of them are waiting to hear from you. So over to you, Meryl.
So much, Tony. It is actually a privilege to actually contribute back to this very important initiative that these organizations are doing. I also have a selfish reason, because the more people who learn cybersecurity, the more people I have to hire, and the more business we can do. Right? So, a very selfish, sort of reason maybe I can say I'm here. But what I'll be doing today is actually delving into the cybersecurity landscape in India. Why is this thing important? Two, what are some of the trends? What are some of the things that you are seeing that you can relate back to cybersecurity, and how we help? I will also go down to see, what are some of the job opportunities within cybersecurity in India, and also what do you need to pick up as critical skills so that it makes you. That's my my feel. I hope I can finish this probably 10 minutes. Tony, I don't know if we have time for question and answers immediately after this. If you're doing it later, that's fine.
That'll be a great thing. So we can request all the learners to have your questions ready. Towards the end, we'll have about 5 to 10 minutes to answer all the questions. So if that's okay with you, ma'am.
Perfect. That's perfectly okay.
Great. Thank you.
So the first thing I would like to bring to you guys, if I look at the cybersecurity landscape, India is a country that is rapidly adapting digital transformation. What do I mean when I say that? All of you, I'm sure, in this entire group of students who have joined, I can confidently state at least 70% of you within the last 2 days would have used some app to either order something online, get food online, probably get some sort of transportation online, or if nothing else, maybe interact with government services, right? This is the state of how India is. Just to give you a more recent example, a more hard-hitting example that I had is when one of our clients, he came down from the US, came to visit one of my clients so that he can talk to them about the trends in the US. After that meeting, we took him down to the food court and bought some food for him. And he pulled out his credit card to pay, and I said, please put the credit card away, I'll pay. And I pulled out my phone, pointed at the QR code, and then just walked away. This man was flabbergasted. He was like, what the heck did you just do? I mean, you didn't pull out cash, you did not pull out a credit card, but you just use your phone. Something that is so ubiquitous for us today is for many, many nations in the world, even now a source of wonder, right? Most of the services that our government gives back to our public is through the digital medium, and there are a whole bunch of private enterprises also happening through the digital medium. Now, wherever there is digital, there is a possibility of wrongdoing happening, right? In the physical world, long back, finding out wrongdoing was easy because there was always a trail which was easy to find. So if you forge something, people could pick up the forged thing, a check, for instance, put it against the original signature and say, okay, this looks like a problem. But today, because of the nature of the internet and how people are using that internet and digital media to transact, it is very difficult to find the wrong way. That's point number one. Point number two is also the scale. With computers, suddenly you are not issuing one forged check equivalent. You are issuing millions of them. And how do you suddenly catch all of them? Right? So that's another problem. So in this environment, your cybersecurity is like a digital shield that protects our financial transactions, our personal information, even the very infrastructure that powers our city. Right? So, for instance, you would have seen in the newspapers a few, I think last year, there was a news of a power plant going down because there was a cyber attack that happened on that power plant infrastructure. The power plant stopped working. The minute that happens, you're talking of millions of Indians being affected. So, embracing cybersecurity becomes essential for us for a resilient future. What are some of the trends and some of the things that we are seeing right now in India? Right. One, we are seeing a ransomware attack. So, what is a ransomware attack? It's a kind of attack where something comes onto your computer, freezes your computer, encrypts everything, and once it's encrypted, the perpetrator of that software then asks you to pay him or her some money so that they can decrypt. Right? So that's now becoming very prevalent. Imagine what happens when your home computer got stuck like that. You get inconvenience. Now, if you just extrapolate that to an organization like a KPMG, we have 160,000 employees worldwide. Imagine that happens to vast population of those. We stop working. If we stop working, we stop providing services to our clients. They stop providing services to their customers. And it's a huge impact. So that's one very, I would say, prevalent trend today. The other one that I'm seeing is phishing attempts. So you would have seen those series on Netflix. I think it is called Jamtara and whatever. So all of that is real, right? So there's a bunch of people, not only in India but abroad, trying to mislead people into clicking wrong links. The minute the wrong link is clicked, then this kind of software that I told you about comes into your computer or your phone, or they then start stealing either personal information or money from accounts. Every day in the newspaper today, you cannot open the newspaper without seeing somebody who was scammed. There are hundreds of these phishing kind of attacks. The most recent of which that I can tell you is this whole courier thing, right? Where people are being told that they have sent a courier. That courier contains drugs. It's caught in Bombay. If you want to clear your name because your Aadhaar card is attached, you have to come to Bombay. And the people who come on the link to you are people who are wearing police dress and all that, and they scare you. And suddenly they say, okay, you don't need to come to Bombay. Let me just check your accounts. If you transfer this much money to another account, we'll see how that works. If that works, then we are clearing you. Suddenly, the minute the money gets transferred, they're also getting your password. They clean out your account and then they vanish. Right. So this is causing loss to the tune of lakhs and lakhs of rupees to old people, to young people, a lot of people who are not cyber aware. So that's another problem that we are seeing. The most important problem, really, if you ask me, that companies are saying is data breaches. What is data breach? Companies have confidential information, right? That confidential information is really of two types. One is what is important for the company because the company has competitive advantage by keeping that information, right? So, for instance, in KPMG, my rates are confidential. What is the rate that I apply for a job? If somebody else, like a competitor, were to get hold of that, they can then quote below me and then take the job away from me. So that's confidential to me. The next set of information is called private information. This is information that is pertaining to individuals. There is a law in India called DPDPA, which is the Digital Privacy and Data Protection Act. That act actually mandates that personal information, things like my name, my date of birth, my Aadhaar card number, my PAN card number, all of this needs to be kept secure. So anytime that there is a breach in a company and this goes away, each one of us are liable or able to actually sue the company and then the company goes into a lawsuit. So that's another problem that I'm seeing. All of these ransomware attacks, phishing attacks, data breaches are not really only directed towards individuals or large companies. Even small companies get affected. Recently, I was helping a restaurant chain. They have some 8 or 9 restaurants in Bangalore. That's it. That's all they have. And they got hit by a ransomware attack, which actually brought entire system to a halt. They couldn't take orders, they couldn't take reservations, and they couldn't do transaction in the system. That meant that person, promoter of that business, could not move, could not get revenue, and then daily wage workers, weekly wage workers, he couldn't pay them, and suddenly the business is in a state where it could even collapse because it's just hand to mouth in that sense, right? So these are important things that we need to understand within the cybersecurity area in India. Now, for this, right, what are some of the job opportunities that we see? Right? Now, again, the if I go back to the starting point of my speech, when everything in this country is digital and everything that is digital has a risk of cybersecurity there, if you ask me, for us, this is the next industrial revolution or the IT revolution. IT was basically building computers. Cybersecurity is for the computers that are built. How do you protect them? So if you ask me, that is one of the biggest trends that are happening now in the job, right? To give you a perspective, this both Annapurna and I belong to the same team. By January, we have been told to hire 500. Correct? That's 2 months. In 2 months, I have to go and find 500 people because that's the kind of business that's hitting us, right? So if you can imagine, when you guys finish this course and come out, this is just going to increase because the government launched the UIDA, launched the UPI, now it's launched the ONDC. All of these are huge platforms that are digital, allowing for easy movement of goods, services, and money, but it's also allowing for hackers. So to protect all of this, there is a requirement for cybersecurity professionals, ethical hackers, security analysts, the SOC operators, security operations center operators, right? All of these are important. If I look at cybersecurity, I look at it from the bottom to the top, just like any manufacturing industry, where you have a simple operator at the bottom, who is actually running the machine to get the goods out, to a boss right at the top who has to actually look at whether what services this company is offering is being offered in the most efficient and the cost-effective manner. The cybersecurity world also has. So you start from a security operations center operator, then you go up to analyst, you go to L1 support person, L2 support person, L3 support person. You get to a cybersecurity engineer, you get to cybersecurity framework creators, you get to people like me. I do the strategy and governance for how you build cybersecurity across companies, and then you get to people who actually implement these tools. Right? We call that cyber transformation in our place, and then we have the whole ethical hackers who come and test these tools to see if these tools can be broken. Finally, we have people like Annapurna come and actually attest that these systems work properly and the cyber criminals cannot get in. Right? If I put it in a nutshell, Annapurna, you will say that's not exactly what to do, but largely, if I explain to this audience, she is the person who actually puts a stamp saying that the systems work. Now, what are the skills for all of you all to actually get into this job market, right? The first thing, if you ask me, when I look at critical thinking, what does critical thinking mean? I do not want you to actually look at a router and switch and say, this is a router and that is a switch. Although that is obviously really cool. If you can do that, I'll be really happy. But I would like to see critical thinking. For instance, can I replace a router with a switch? What happens if I do that, right? What's the challenge? I would want to understand also if you guys have attention to detail. Why is that important? In many times, when you do configuration of systems, the difference between a comma and a dot can mean that the system is completely open to the system is completely closed. Both of which are bad, right? So one needs to be able to pay attention to detail and identify the right problem. Excuse me, I'm a bit under the weather. Identify the problem and then solve that problem with that attention to detail. Right? The third thing that I would want to see from each of you is continuous learning. If any of you have ever seen movies where they show you a doctor or a lawyer, you will typically see a doctor or a lawyer in a movie with lots of books behind. Right? Why is that? Because a doctor and a lawyer has to continuously learn. Right? What you learned in college is not enough because the techniques of treating people change, law changes. Similarly, cybersecurity is undergoing change. What used to be called, so for instance, what happened today, right, when all of you try to log into a link, right, is in the cybersecurity world called a denial of service attack. What happens there? Somebody gets a link, and this today it was not famous. Today all of you needed to learn that link. But what the cyber criminals will do is, for instance, on Flipkart website, on Big Billion Dollar Sale, they create a bunch of bots that will go and dump requests onto that website and bring that website down then Flipkart loses its big $1 billion day, right? Just to give you an example. Why does that not happen now? Because that is now fixed. It's fixed through code. It's fixed through systems that automatically spin themselves up when the load increases, so they don't have to have physical servers, they have virtual servers, and so on and so forth. So this problem, this denial of service attack, used to be very prevalent, say 6 or 7 years ago. Today, nobody even calls denial of service attack a problem. There are other problems to encounter. So somebody who came out of a cyber Shiksha curriculum 6 years back would think denial of service is important, but now it is not. What is now important is things like your phishing attacks, ransomware, data breaches, and stuff like that. You will need to learn that. So you learn that on the job. So that is an important thing to show that each of you can actually learn continuously more than what is being taught in the course, right? To close out, I would just say that cyber security. See, I passed out in 2000, right? 2000, and when I joined the workforce, it was IT was the bedrock of anybody who wanted to make some sort of career. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I shifted to IT simply because that was where the opportunities are. I can't say I can't say I'm unhappy because I did that. I did that shift, and I feel really good about it. For many of you, cybersecurity is going to be that shift, because you make that shift and you get into cybersecurity. It's a place where you can build a career, because I don't see in any reason, including what is happening through AI, ML, artificial intelligence, machine learning, that cybersecurity is coming down. Just to end off with a quote, or maybe not even a quote, an example that we did in office is we were evaluating cybersecurity tools that had artificial intelligence and machine learning built in, which meant that we didn't need to configure it. Just install the tool, give it some basic understanding, and it starts learning from the attacks it's facing, right? And we thought this was brilliant till we read a news article that said hackers are using tools which have AI and ML built in. So suddenly the humans are out of this equation, and the AI and the MLs on both sides are attacking each other, right? In such a scenario, the only thing that can stop something like this is by human intervention and the ingenuity of the human mind, where we can, maybe the simplest solution, let's say, we put the plug, is the easiest thing to do rather than crazy code to understand what's happening, right? So to conclude, as we enter the digital age for India, I think cybersecurity is going to be a cornerstone of the progress that we need to make as a nation. The opportunities are vast, and the challenges we are here, right? But with dedication and the right skill, I think we can overcome this. Remember that your journey in cybersecurity is not just a career, but it is, if I may be a little grandiose, it's like being a digital guardian to this nation, which is what I tell all the people who join our practice, right? The only thing that stands between you and a company that's being hacked is yourself. The better you are, the more stronger that you leave that organization, and by virtue of many of you, we leave the nation. So thank you so much for your time, and I wish you all the very best in your exploration of cybersecurity, and I hope to meet some of you during the course. Back to you, Tony.
Thank you very much, Meryl. I'm sure all the learners who are here, who are listening to you, though they already understand the importance and they've joined this program, this actually kind of enhances their idea and the understanding and the demand that is there for this entire course. And also the cherry on the cake being there is an opportunity to be hired by KPMG once they complete the course. So that's like an added advantage for those who do really well. So thanks for bringing all of those points up, and I'm sure there will be questions. So Ruchika, probably we may have to facilitate, get the questions from the live streaming and share it here towards the end, so that the experts can speak about it. So now, before moving to the next expert speaker, I would like to welcome Ikra from the Microsoft team who had joined us. Welcome, Ikra, and thank you for joining. Ikra is managing this project. The partnership between Microsoft and Tata Stripe. So welcome. Yes, Ikra.
Hi, sorry, Tony, I think there's a misunderstanding. Actually, I'm from the KPMG team. We have not been able to, I think, get someone from Microsoft right now.
Okay, great.
But you're right. I am leading this whole initiative from KPMG along with Microsoft and Tata Stripe. So it's absolutely a pleasure to come together as a force and running this very important initiative. So it's very relevant for each youth right now. And like we have already spoken, there is a lot of talent out there. And once we have them, we're really looking forward to have some great talent join us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your words. And I'm sure there will be more opportunities to interact with the learners as well, because the industry
Yes.
perspective is always so important. So thank you for joining, and hope to hear from you again. And in the meantime, I'd like to invite our next speaker. So so you have already heard, all of you have already heard from Mr. Meryl Cherian that Annapurna, who is on this call, works with him in KPMG. So inviting Ms. Annapurna Aladi. She's a partner with a digital trust practice and leads the team in Hyderabad. And she has over 16 years experience across IT consulting, cyber and technology risk across geographies, which includes UK, US, Europe, Middle East, and South Africa. So we're very happy to have you here, Annapurna, and I'm sure all the learners are waiting to hear from you about your experience in this the cybersecurity space and how you're able to manage teams, which I'm sure many of them will be doing in the future. So over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Tony, and hi, Meryl. It's really nice to follow you. It's not easy, but let me try. So I've worked with Meryl for the last 16 years, and I'm based in Hyderabad. So the cybersecurity field grew pretty much along with us. We all started off as technology consultants, but cyber became so important and such a key driver for our businesses that we now have really large teams focusing purely on cybersecurity. I will talk a little bit about IT audit. I think sometimes there is a understanding that cybersecurity is completely a deep technical field, which it is. But there are other key skills, especially related to people and understanding of business process, which are key for you to do well. So if there are people who are core in management studies, or who are maybe not core technical engineering students as well, there is lots of opportunity within cybersecurity. So just to give you an example, explain what I do. I am part of what is called IT audit. So we essentially understand the business and the business process, and then look at what technology is in place and see whether there are risks and how we are managing those risks. So if I were to take Meryl's example forward, if Flipkart, say, had a problem with their website, it means much more than, say, a static website of a hospital where there's no transaction happening. It may not mean too much to their business, but if Flipkart's e-commerce or their portal went down, it would mean hell for them. So it's really important to understand the business that you're in. So especially if you're, say, interviewing for any companies, or if you're trying to join any companies, you will be much more valuable to them if you understand business process. Just to give you an example, I was in one of the clients that I worked for was in the pharma and life sciences space, and they wanted me to, and I was to audit how the technology around their inventory valuation was managed. And they will take you only seriously if you understand their business and not if you go in to try and learn from them. So this senior gentleman tells me, I'm not going to explain anything to you. You explain my process to me. I'll tell you if it's right or not. So then I had to go back, study. And only when I came back and explained how the business worked and how the process worked, was he comfortable saying, okay, now I can have a conversation with you. You're not wasting my time. Similarly, because when you join when we work with different clients and nobody has the time to teach you, so as much preparation as you come in, and especially since all of you are young, when you come in, that's a challenge everyone will face, especially if you join a company like KPMG, where you work with clients really early on in your career. They're like, you're so young, how are you teaching me anything? So it's really important to come in prepared and understand the business that you're in. The other example was I have a little bit of a banking background, so I then went on to work with a bank as a client for a really long time. Um, and and especially when you're implementing any sort of technology, it's not that you're just coming, installing something and going away. You have to really understand the landscape that you're in. Uh, by the time I ended the project, they used to call me a PhD in one Excel sheet, because by the end of it, I understood every single requirement there was in that bank. So it's important. You can cyber is really important, but unless you understand the environment that you're going into, you will never be able to understand the impact of what we're trying to do. The other thing that people sometimes miss out is cyber is very much a people field. There are, if you think about it, if one of your parents gets has is encounters a fraud through a bank, it's a people issue. If if your identity is stolen and somebody sent a message through your ID to multiple people, it's someone who's tapping into the psychology of it. So it's very important to have people skills and understand the work you do impacts a lot of people. Just for an example, we were again working with a very large client where they were going through a sort of merger, and people were really afraid for their jobs, but what it would mean for their jobs. And one of the activities, the cyber related activities that we had to do was do a phishing campaign to see whether or not people will react to that phishing campaign. So what we did do was write something related to HR and salary and send it out to a bunch of people to see if they would react to it. And these people and the whole company before this would never react to a phishing campaign because they were really well trained, and had really good awareness. But the second it said something about something really pertinent to them at that point in time, there were a lot of there was instant reaction from many people who would not have in normal circumstances. While it was a controversial thing to do, it was essentially trying to exploit people's vulnerability at that point in time. So it's really important to understand that it's a challenging and demanding field because it impacts people on a personal level on a daily basis. And it's a great time to enter this particular field as well, because even the experts may have maximum of 10 to 15 years of knowledge. So you have as much as a chance to get in and do really well, throughout your. So there is people have a head start, but not as much, so that you can absolutely get to the top of the field soon, because things are changing and we are learning alongside. I also want, since you'd mentioned, Tony, in the beginning that that there is also a little bit of orientation of skills and attitude. Some of the things that I wanted to share personally from my journey of having worked, one in the corporate world and in the consulting world. There are so I'm a woman in the field, which is much more common now than it was before. And it's been challenging, but also it's been really inspiring to see how people are reacting to it now, and hopefully there'll be more women and others joining the workforce. Just to give you an example, it you will there have been many times in the beginning of my career where I've always been the only woman in the room. Uh, um, After a point, you start enjoying the novelty also, because it's easier to catch or say what you have to say, but it can also be daunting because you constantly feel outnumbered. And you don't just have to be a woman for that. There could be other situations based on which you are singled out. For example, there was one experience where I was the consultant for a client. So it was me and the whole a client team which were mostly men, and we walked into the room, and the person who we were meeting assumed that I was there to take notes when I was not. I mean, I was the consultant on the job. So people will make assumptions, will have biases. There was also, I think, one entire meeting where the whole meeting, the gentleman just looked at the floor while speaking to me because he was not comfortable looking in my face and having a conversation. These are things that you will face, especially if you're different from the group. It helps to care less about it than the others do. And eventually I've learned that it's one of the things that while it makes me different, it also maybe sets me apart a little bit. And you don't, and I know that there sometimes these situations are day to day, and there's no one way to deal with it. When you can, you stand up for yourself, and other times if you want to, exclude yourself from the situation, that is also okay. But just I think the idea is to make it easier for the next group of people that come in. So you always try and look out for whoever else is in your team and try to make things easier. So that's another aspect. Again, like I said, a lot of the areas or the team that I work with is a different set of skills, different background. So if you're feeling outnumbered or different, it's fine. The other thing that I also wanted to talk about, because everybody's trying to look out for jobs and maybe is going through campus placement or placement in general, and I know it's a really, really hard time. Again, my personal experience here, when I was going through placement season, there were a group of 10, 15 of us. On the first day, 9 of them got placed and I didn't. I think, no, 8 of them got placed and I didn't. The second time the next company came, the other one other than me got placed and I didn't. And on the last day is when I got placed. And if you look at it now, like most of them, I think did not continue to stay in their first company. Neither did I. I switched in 8 months, but I moved on to the next place. But I think I've spent longest. I've done 16 years here. So it doesn't matter where you start, is also a point that I'd like to say. Is it depends on the people you work with and what you bring to the table. So it's fine if the first 1 or 2 go wrong. Eventually you land in a place which is good for you. And just in terms of don't sell yourself short. Again, like I said, I have a problem with public speaking. I did not think the placement experience was really hard. But if you just do your job and believe that what you're doing is well, it eventually adds up. Just as an example, we started off with a team of 2 people when we were in Hyderabad, and we're now 100, which again, I'm really proud of because we've helped build and set up the team. So like I said, wherever you are, as long as you start and back yourself, you'll be fine. And cyber is a great place to work because you're learning along with the industry. So that's a little bit what I wanted to share on my journey.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Annapurna. It was very interesting to understand your journey. And many a times, more than what to do in the career and how we go about with it, it's that how, someone who has been successful, we look at their journey and what they have done and gone through and how they've overcome. That's quite an interesting and motivating story, especially the part where do not worry if you don't get selected immediately.
Yeah.
So that's always a motivation. So thanks for sharing that. And I'm sure many of the women and female learners out there, I'm sure they take this as a good opportunity to see that, yes, women can also do great in this field. There's nothing specific to a gender as such. And when they see more people in the industry taking up and doing this job, I'm sure many more will come forward. And I'm sure many mentors that you've had over the years that has helped you, establish your position. So thank you for that.
Sure. Thank you.
So there are some questions that have come up, Meryl and Annapurna. So I'll just narrate that, share that, and either of you can just take and share. Besides the one that have come up here, just few have got in the other chat box. There is one, Rupesh has asked, he has about 8 years of ITES experience. And so he's asking, is it possible to switch career into cybersecurity field? And what will be the roadmap and chances of getting a job? So if one of you would like to share that or discuss that.
So I did share that.
Sorry, Meryl, your voice is cracking a little bit, not very clear. I don't know if it's for just me or others also.
No, I think it's fine.
I also can't hear him properly, Meryl.
Can you hear me now?
Slightly better.
Hello, is it better?
It's still cracking, not very smooth.
Ouch. No
Sorry,
clue why that-
maybe I can take a shot. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. So Rupesh is asking, he has about 8 years of ITES experience, and can he switch to a career in cybersecurity? What will be the roadmap and what are the chances of getting a good job?
So there are a couple of ways to go about this. One is to try internally itself, because if someone spent 8 years in a particular organization, it means that they understand that organization and that business really well. So a good place to start would either be their own internal cyber and compliance teams, where they can either help more from a regulatory perspective or help their organization itself do better from a cybersecurity angle. Or the other option, if he's looking to look outside, is first try a couple of certifications. So if there are specific technology expertise that he has, for example, if he's interested in cloud and already has some cloud experience, so doing some certifications in that particular space, so that you can also leverage your existing experience. And then, trying out in other organizations would probably be a good idea. So there are both options. I think there's you pick a field of cyber, do some learning, do some certifications, and then you can approach organizations. Also, there are many training opportunities as well. Even the learning space in the cyber is quite has innovated quite a bit. For example, there are simulations, training organizations that offer you a virtual lab environment for you to actively test your skills. So picking a good learning program would also help. Sorry, Meryl, unless you had something else.
No, I mean, am I audible now?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, sorry, I think my battery had run out. Yeah, so okay, so I don't know what the gentleman's name is who asked the question. Varun, I think. Right?
Rupesh.
Yeah, so Rupesh, the reason why I jumped in to answer that question is I was exactly similar to what you did. When I came out, I told you I started my career in IT. I did 3.5 years actually, in Wipro Technologies, and I was writing hardcore code, right? So very similar to what I think I would also term what I did as yes. And I made the shift to cybersecurity. Interestingly, those days you had to start from the bottom simply because the knowledge of cybersecurity was not as democratized as now. It was still a kind of tribal learning mechanism. You come and join a team, and they would teach you. It was almost like voodoo. Our people would sit around and then say, okay, these are specific commands. Outside people don't know it. You should not do this at home because you tend to hack into stuff and stuff like that. But now what has happened is like Annapurna said, there's tons of information out there in terms of learning. So you should be able to pick up that learning, apply it in, say, a mini project, which is of relevance to an organization. Right? And when I say project, I'm not saying you go out and, as is the trend nowadays, buy a project and come back. No, you would actually sit back and do that project. Of course, we are not saying go and hack something, but actually do a project around understanding what different cyber regulations are. Can I unify some of these? Can I reduce time taken to test some of these, etc.? And then come back either to your own organization, as I said. You could do that, but the challenge I see in that is, again, even in user organizations today, the cybersecurity is called this very tight-knit set of people who hire from specific colleges. That could be a problem. But you can always apply to consulting firms who would like to look at you. If your IT's experience is somewhat relevant, I can tell you that they will give you that benefit of the doubt to use some of that experience. But can you translate 8 years of experience into 8 years of cybersecurity experience? Probably not. So there will be a hit that you take. But I think that's the price that you pay for changing field and changing tracks. I have not looked back. Like Annapurna says, if I look back at my friends who are still in that IT company or other IT companies, I think the trajectory has been very different. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Meryl and Annapurna for helping Rupesh with that question. A couple of other questions that have come up. One question is from a student who says that I'm studying a UX course currently, but find cybersecurity very interesting. I'm doing 12th standard commerce in the commerce stream. Is there any career for me if I move to cybersecurity?
Simple answer, yes. I don't need to answer anything more. But you know what? I think if you ask me, you are learning two very important things, right? One is commerce, and therefore, as Annapurna said, the process around finance and how that moves within an organization is important. The theory of that. If you can apply that to applications and how your transactions that you see on either ledger, or journal, or receipt, how it gets into a system, even if it's as simple as something like Tally, if you know how it moves, then you can use that same logic to say that's similar to how it would move in a system like Oracle SAP. So that's one strong point already. The second strong point is UX. Today, much of cybersecurity holes are in the UX layer because somebody did not put the right checks in a text box that allowed a hacker to put in malicious code through some place where they were expected to put a name, right? Or some particular say using a cross-site scripting attack to get into somebody else's website. So this is possible, and therefore I think you are learning two very important skills. Simply answering a question: can you change to cybersecurity? Yes. Is it a great thing? Definitely yes. Like I said, I am selfish, and therefore my answer.
Thank you, Meryl, for that answer. Again, I think this one is specifically for Annapurna, I think, because Arunima asks, ma'am, how can I start learning cybersecurity?
Oh, okay. So I'm not sure if she
Actually, maybe I should answer this. I'm so sorry, Arupurna.
Yeah, go for it.
Please join the Tata Style Cybersecurity course, Tony. I think that's the most
That's the
simple
only
answer.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to. So, what did you say her name was?
Arunima.
Arunima, please, go through our website and join the Tata Stripe course. We have a course which is for beginners. We have a course which is for advanced learners. So please, or write to any of us and we will tell you how to join the cybersecurity course. So I think that's the easiest. Sorry, Arupurna, for cutting.
No, that's fine. Like I was saying, along with cyber, the cyber education space also is really growing. So there's lots of opportunities there. I think the other thing to also do is to really stay updated on the kind of events that are happening. Because there is a lot of innovation there as well in the kind of the way people are approaching cyber. So that's important. Also, try and attend if there are conferences or networking events for you to get an opportunity to meet practitioners. Many times that's how people make really good contacts who later become important colleagues. But yeah, like I said, if you have the time and the ability and the resources to do a course, do that. Also, there is a whole list of certifications, like I said, that you can, which are more also accepted nationally and globally. So once you figure out what is your area of for example, if you're someone who wants to do more systems audit, then maybe CISA. If you're someone who's more interested in audit in, say, the cloud space, then pick up a certification in the cloud space. Now, or if it's networks, or if it's AI. So the field is quite specialized in that way as well. So a great foundation would be a course like Tata Stripe. And once you identify your area of interest, to pick up as many certifications in that space to give you credibility, and nothing like job experience. So try and pick up an internship somewhere, or volunteer somewhere to say, I will do, give me a shot, I will do this. Any of those opportunities you can try.
Thank you, Annapurna, and thank you, Ruchika, for talking about Cyber Shiksha Plus once again. Just another interesting question from a learner from Anand, Gujarat. So I have a BSc in computer science, presently learning cybersecurity. Do I also need to get CISM certification to grow faster?
Okay, my answer to that would be not necessarily. See, what I would say at the bottom, when you get in, right, you should be like a sponge, right? You should be learning everything around cybersecurity. Now, of course, this also depends on where you want to join in cybersecurity. If you're joining in a organization which is we call them user organization. These are the non-consulting, non-services organizations, where, say, you are sitting in the cybersecurity function of Flipkart. Use Flipkart so many times today. I'm not continuing with that example. In that, you go and slot yourself into a particular area. So it could be compliance of cybersecurity within Flipkart. It could be ethical hacking of internal ethical hacking of the resources of Flipkart, and so on. If that's what you want to do, then maybe identifying where you want to go to and then picking up a relevant certification like that might make sense. However, if you are looking at joining a services organization, the likes of the KPMGs of the world, the EYs of the world, the Capgemini's, the IBMs of the world, if that's what you want to do, then you might want to just learn the basics of cybersecurity, like this particular course, and get in. And then, like how all of us learned, and I'm sure Annapurna also did the same thing, we were like sponges, right? So today we would be put into an ethical hacking opportunity. Tomorrow we'll be doing something on strategy. Day after, be back to something related to technology and technical cybersecurity. So when you're doing that, taking a particular certification might not be as relevant. You can pick up that certification once you know what you like, and then move forward. A CISM basically tells people, it's a signaling device saying that I would like to manage information security within an organization. It does not say that you want to audit it. It says I want to manage it, and therefore it is the kind of certification that you will take if you want to sit in a user company, right? Both are good, but it depends on what your choice is.
Thank you, Meryl. Maybe because we are running behind schedule, just a couple of questions more, if you all are okay with that.
I'm okay. If you want to have a few more questions, perfectly okay.
Okay, so this is one question from a learner from cybersecurity learner from Kolkata. So as technology continues to advance, are there specific areas within cybersecurity that you believe will see significant growth in terms of job opportunities in the near future?
Yeah, so definitely cloud. As organizations take that movement to cloud quite rapidly, there will be a lot of opportunities within cybersecurity on the cloud. Gone are the days when one would say, if I just put my stuff on the cloud, it's safe because somebody else will take care of it. Today, you will have to take care of your assets. So cloud aspects of cybersecurity is super important. Also, a whole bunch of emerging technologies like IoT, right? The Internet of Things, or operations, which is the IT that sits on machines. Right? These are becoming more prominent. Earlier, they were not very prominent simply because it's kind of like why the iPhone doesn't have. Right? There are not as many iPhones in the world as compared to Androids. Right? It's time consuming for the hacker to build some code to hack a small percentage of users. But today, with the prevalence of IoT devices and OT devices, hacking those have become more lucrative. lucrative, and therefore the protection of those have become more prevalent. So that is another area that we look at. The third area that you would like to look at is in today's world, all organizations, like it or not, have moved into some form of hybrid working. Hybrid working yields itself to a whole bunch of cybersecurity issues. These issues are of two kinds. One, because to enable hybrid working, you have tools like Zoom, Teams, and so on and so forth, which bring with it hitherto unknown issues. These are issues that we didn't know earlier because we never used these tools. And all of us are collectively learning. Like Anupam said, this is from the CEO of the organization to the most recent analyst. All of them are learning together. So there will be misses in configuration which allow for cybersecurity loopholes that come into those devices. Second, when you work from home, even if it's small, the protection of the asset has now suddenly changed. If you were to imagine this like an orange has skin, it has that orange, those small, call them segments, and then you have the seeds right in the middle. So if I were to say that the crown jewels of the organization, the data and the systems of the organization were those seeds. Earlier organizations used to be like an orange. You used to have that physical layer, which is that hard, thick skin. You used to have individually inside the office, you would have all those access card systems. You'd have people, the security guard sitting inside. You would have cameras protecting those seeds. Today, with hybrid working, suddenly it's like the orange going the reverse, right? The seeds are sitting outside. And suddenly, because that's what you are accessing, your computers are connecting to the computer, the office data from sitting inside, say, a PG. And if you were a cognizant employee, you would have just next to you sitting a TCS employee, probably working on the same contract. Where is the cybersecurity that stops both of you from sharing information, right? Using the same Wi-Fi and so on. So there are risks there. So that's another area. Annapurna, there are anything that
Yeah, I think the other thing nowadays is if you have capability specifically around automation, or if you're like a machine learning enthusiast, then cyber also has lots of opportunities. Everybody's trying to see how can I make sense of lots of data? How can I do any sort of pattern recognition analysis? If you're an analytics person, also there's a lot of opportunity. So if the combination of cyber business process and any sort of analytics also is a great space to be in. So even if you're, again, like I said, not a technical cyber person, there's a lot of other opportunities for people who have other analytical interests.
Yeah, and to this person from Calcutta, I mean, the way I would answer this really is look at what businesses are making waves today, right? If those businesses are in the area of AI, ML, those businesses are in the area of cloud, all of them will need cybersecurity, right? And cybersecurity for each of the businesses is slightly different. So the way I would look at it is look at once you're through your course, look at which businesses are actually making waves and what cybersecurity threats are needed for what cybersecurity skills are needed for businesses. Train yourself on those so that you can jump in right at the cusp. That's the simple answer.
Thank you. Thanks to Meryl and Annapurna for handling that so well. Just probably one last question for this time. So there's this learner who's curious to know if he or she does not have any big certifications, but they have very strong knowledge, will they be able to get a good job? No certifications as such, nothing to present, but very good with the knowledge.
See, okay, so let me try and answer this again from our experience, right? Of course, I will limit that experience to us going to a campus or to an organization like Cybersecurity to actually evaluate people. When I go to campus, and Pune also does this, we don't have any sort of restriction that says we hire only computer science graduates or or electronics people or the like of information technology. Some of my best people have been mechanical engineers, have been civil engineers. In fact, there was one lady who actually studied biomedical engineering. There was a lady who studied dance, and she was in our practice for quite a long time. She was fantastic, right? So like I told you, if you remember my talk, what did I tell you your skills would need? The skills that at your entry level would need is critical thinking, the ability to be to have attention to detail and continuously learn. These are three skills that you need: critical thinking, attention to detail, and the ability to continue learning throughout your life. If you have these three skills at an entry level, I think you're sorted. We don't look for certification. Of course, certification is great, but sometimes I've seen people who have certification of bookish knowledge, and if you ask them to, what would happen if I change around switch, they blink, right? Because that doesn't come in the certification. Right? That requires critical. So those are the things that you would like to learn actually. So certification is not really necessary.
So I slightly differ, and I feel like it's fine. This is, I feel like sometimes people may all not have access to the campuses sometimes that many of us go to. It's a right thing at the right time sort of situation. Maybe that year we're not hiring as many. So if I were to look at a bunch of people, all of them with similar background, and just on paper, if you had to shortlist some. So in that case, I'm not saying it will set you apart, but it would help. If there were 20 people and there were 5 spots, and because you want to do everything possible to prepare, right? So either having done a great course or having done an internship, and if these resources are available, if I were to look at 2 or 3 CVs, and if it was purely everybody mostly had academic experience till that point in time, then how would you set yourself apart if you've not done? So that's purely one of the angles that I was coming in from. So it will help, and also it will help you stay a little in touch with the field if you're not on the job already.
Well, just maybe a side note to that, Annapurna. The problem with looking at people who don't have job experience and getting a certification is just an exam, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a certification. You just passed. You don't have the certificate yet because you need to have certain amount of years of job experience to actually stick. So for them, this is where I'm coming from. It might be bookish knowledge. It's like, when we did MBA, I thought sitting in school for 2 years and coming out and I would.
Yeah.
But obviously not. Right? What you learn
Yeah.
now is that
No, it's also a way for you to figure out if you like the field, right?
so
Yeah,
that's
you read, you figure out what it entails.
Right.
Sorry,
That-
Tony, like every day we are disagreeing, but more publicly, I think. Yeah.
But I'm glad that Ruchika's microphone is off. Otherwise, she would have suggested Cyber Shiksha Plus certification that we need to do immediately.
Sure. Yeah.
So thank you. I think we may have a few more questions, but I think that's the time that we have for now. And once again, apologies for probably going beyond the scheduled time. But on this note, I'd like to invite Ruchika to share the vote of thanks for all our speakers and all those who have joined. So over to you, Ruchika.
Okay. Thank you so much, Annapurna and Meryl and Ikra for facilitating this. And, we're looking forward to many more sessions with the KPMG team. And to all our learners, thank you. I hope you learned a lot because I actually did, even though I have been, working on this program for almost 3 years now, but even I learned something new today. So I think it was great. Thank you for sharing your experiences with us, Annapurna. And I know that all the personal things that you shared, I am sure that there are many learners out there who would have actually, got a lot of moral support and also aspiration. So I think when they hear Meryl, when they hear you speak, I think it's also makes them motivates them more. So thank you so much for your time, all the learners. I know it's Saturday morning, but thank you, and thank you, Ikra, for facilitating this. We will be sharing feedback from the students with all of you, and we'll also request you. So we'll share a feedback form, and we'd also like like to understand how we could do this better. So thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you, Tony, for doing this on a Saturday. Thank you so much.
Problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Have a
Bye.
good day, everyone.